Good evening, it's Middle-Aged Gamer Guy here. Welcome to another TNGC, which is getting more and more catchy the more times I say that, which is Tuesday night gaming chat. Here we are, as always, on a Tuesday night for the next 2 hours, talking about all the latest games coming out and all the latest news. And with me, as always, is my partner in crime, Mr. David Jones. How you doing?
Good evening, mate. I'm very well, thanks. How about yourself?
I am very well, and how are you?
I'm doing all right.
Good, good, good. And as always, what have you been playing this week?
Oh, I'm still sort of dabbling a little bit into cyberpunk every now and again, but I've mostly been spending my time playing Mass Effect Andromeda. Getting quite into that one at the moment.
You enjoying that? That's quite fitting considering we're going to be talking a lot of Mass Effect tonight.
Yeah, I decided to get back in it. I started it a couple of years ago, I think back in 2019, and then just sort of got distracted with the stuff. But I've gone back to it the last couple of weeks. I've put quite a bit of time into it, getting a bit further. I've shot lots of indigenous alien wildlife. You think you'd want to save it and study it? No, just go in organs blaze and take it out.
Oh man, but it's something that you I guess you like playing because you're a big fan of the originals. But we'll get more in depth into it in a bit. But
I did love the originals. The other thing I've been getting back into as well, bit of Sniper Elite 4. Myself and a friend have gone back to the co-op mode on that.
Cool. I enjoy those games a lot, and I think I streamed that couple of, I think maybe before. It actually seems like ages ago. Maybe it was before Christmas. Totally crazy. I don't know. Something like that. Anyway,
did you manage to stealth it around there? Because we're completely failing. We just end up making a right noise.
Blow the shit out of everything. That's my, stealth for about 30 seconds, and then the next 2 hours of the campaign, just blow the crap out of it.
That's pretty much how it goes for us as well. You just end up going in loud. Simple.
I know. I want to say hello to a couple of people in the chat. There's Foxy, there's Lou, there's Draconic. How you doing, everyone? Good to see you all. Any other tips or things, Dave, games that you're playing at the moment?
It's mainly just been those ones at the moment. So just carrying on with Cyberpunk here and there. Whenever I dip back into it, I do enjoy it, but I'm trying not to play too much because I still just want to wait for, say, more patches to come out, especially the next big one, just to see what that does. So I think the February one's meant to be the big one, isn't it, from what they say? We'll see.
Yeah, February is supposed to be a big patch. I mean, they said January was going to be a big patch, and it was only 15 gigabyte, and then the 13 gigabyte to cover up the mistake that they made in the 15 gigabyte one. But there you go. Yeah, it's one of them. I'm enjoying it more. The last 2 weeks I have seen it play a lot smoother. I'm getting to a point now where I'm managing to get through nearly all the side missions and things, apart from buying cars, because I really don't give a shit about that.
That's not really worth it, is it?
No, well, I've never got enough money to buy any of the cars anyway. I'm buying all the crappy little cars that look like tin cans. But I'm getting to a point where now I've caught up, and so I might have like that a level thing of doing a main mission, doing a side mission, doing a main mission. So I might be getting near the end, but then I'll wait, probably play again when DLC comes out, and then I'll probably play again like the third time when the patches come out for the next gen consoles before Christmas. So we'll see. I probably will do 3 full playthroughs though to see what it's like. Whether I stream them, I don't know, but we'll see. Anyway, enough about Cyberpunk, because yet again we've got to talk about that later. Before we get on every bloody week for the next 52 million years. Moving swiftly on. I'm going to welcome our guest tonight. You may know him as Tunes in the Discord and in our community. Please welcome Mr. Dave Hall. How you doing?
Evening, lads. How's it going?
Evening.
Very good. Now, for the purposes of this, not to get really confusing, I'm going to call Mr. Dave Hall Tunes, because I know if I say, Dave, what do you think of that? We could get mixed responses at the same time, or there'll just be long pauses because, as quite rightly said, wasn't quite sure who's going to speak next. Oh, Foxy says, Tunes, I've missed you.
I have missed you too, Foxy.
Cheers, Foxy. I know you get bouncing between Vinny and our stream. That's cool. Say hello to Vinny for me. And I know is he doing Drunk Dark Souls again? I won't be surprised if he is. So that's cool. All right. Thank you. Hello, Gov. How you doing? Where is my in talk show ban? You haven't got a ban. You're not banned. You're not banned from the talk show, Gov. You've been a guest. You can't be that. And there's the ongoing, for people who watch this on a regular basis, there is the joke of the Team Garlic, hashtag Team Garlic. So there you go. No worries. Hello, Mia. Welcome. You've been watching Star Wars. Which Star Wars have you been watching? Tell us in the chat. That's a perfectly good excuse. Oh, you want to use your channel points, Gov? Unfortunately, I wised up to this. And when I do the talk shows, I hardly allow any channel points or mojo bites, as we call them, on the channel to be used. But you can get your own back starting from Thursday. I only switch them off on this stream and the snack tasting stream because otherwise we'd never get anything fucking done. Let's face it. It's a 2-hour show. We're 7 minutes in. We've been talking bollocks for the first 7 minutes anyway. If we added all the channel points in, we'd get even less done. So there you go. But there you go. So Dave, what have you been playing over the last couple of weeks? And this is Dave Choose. See, I've done it already, haven't I? There you go.
It's going to keep happening.
It is, yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, so like I said backstage, it's been a bit of a manic week work-wise. So all I've been able to play is marbles on stream. I may be slightly addicted to it because it's just so easy to have it running in the background while I'm doing some work. But it's more about what I've got queued up. So I'm looking forward to giving Nuts a go. And Call of the Sea, I've got lined up as well. Nioh and Werewolf, that obviously will be nattering about. So, yeah, it's been quite pathetic, really, in terms of what I've been able to play recently. But I'm hoping next week, especially as it's half term, so I'll have my kids down. And, yeah, bit of a family fun night.
Nice. Well, next week, Little Nightmares 2 comes out, which we'll talk. So that's a perfect game to get the kids playing. Won't send them to bed.
I love that.
Whatsoever. Oh, dear. There you go. Well, you mentioned one of the games. We might as well crack on with the show. Thank you to everyone who's joined us so far. Our big game of this week, I use that term very loosely, is Werewolf the Apocalypse. So this is like pretty much the only AAA game that has been out in the last few days, because we talk about games that have been released since last Wednesday up until today. So we will talk Little Nightmares 2 next week because it comes out on Thursday. But we're going to play the trailer for Werewolf the Apocalypse, which apparently was a game that everyone was kind of waiting for. It was based on the tabletop games, and they transitioned it into a computer game. Let's see what it looks like, and let's see if it's actually going to live up to all the hype. This is Werewolf the Apocalypse Earthbound. Let's have a look at the trailer, and then we'll discuss the game and the reviews very shortly.
Peggy 16. Will humans ever understand Gaia's work? Uigaru have been fighting against the worm for millennia.
Okay, so that is Werewolf. So we're not going to talk about it let's talk about whether it's good or not just yet. We'll talk about kind of the idea behind the game. So it's a bit of a hack and slash brawler. They try and basically add some stealth elements into it. And then there's this whole story that the werewolves are like eco warriors, and that there's basically they're against this big oil company, which they made very blatantly on the trailer, which was very much like the likes of Esso and that. So basically ripping the piss out of them, or Xenon and a few others like that. Does this game look any good to you? I'm going to start with Dave.
Can't say I was that intrigued by the trailer. Don't think I'll be bothering with that one. I mean, graphics wise, it looked okay. I can see what it's trying to do. You know, it's got, you said, the mix there, a bit of hack and slash here, then go sneaking around as the wolf. But no, doesn't grab me. Hasn't been on my radar at all.
Now, Tunes, I know you've already got this download on your queue ready to go, haven't you?
Yeah, so I actually saw some in-game footage, and I've got to say the in-game footage, I think, actually made it look better than the trailer. Because, okay, trailers are getting really cinematic to hype it up, but to be honest, I don't want to see that. I just want to see what the game looks like. So that's why I normally go for a bit of in-game footage where I can. And yeah, it was enough to kind of pique my curiosity, because there's like the 3 modes that you're in, whether you're the human-ish or wandering around as a werewolf, or sort of the mix between the two when you're fighting. So it's something I wanted to give a go. And how long it stays installed, I don't know. But yeah, I'm definitely going to give it a
go. So I'll tell you a few things about it, and then we'll get into the scores. Some people already said, like Lou's already said, gives the trailer 10 out of 10, but maybe the game is a 6 out of 10. Govs basically said, it honestly looks like it is awful. It seems like a night dry humping sandpaper, high-grade sandpaper. They basically said that quite a few things that they promised that we were going to put in the game seem to have been missed out. You can stealth the game, and the stealth does work quite well. But you can literally just hack and slash your way through it without having to do stealth. There's no consequences if you don't do stealth. And when you do hack and slash, some of the bad guys, especially like the shotgunners, just stand there shooting, and you just brawl and rip them to shreds. None of the bad guys run away, even like there's a few. So it's almost like, right, so basically you're going to outnumber people anyway. And they said there was one very clever premise where you get locked in a prison and you want to try and negotiate your way out of that to do a number of tasks to get out. But then quite a few of the reviewers discovered that they could actually skip that by just slashing the guy to death and then just killing everyone in a brawl, and basically skip nearly 3/4 of that level. So because of that, considering this is our big AAA game of this week, what do we reckon the scores have been across the board for this game? Now, just to explain to anyone who's not watched this before, I dig out a load of scores from the reviews across the internet and get an average out of 10. What do we reckon this got? And I'm going to start with Tunes out of 10.
I'm going to be generous and say 7, but I think it's probably more of a 6.5.
Okay. Dave?
I'm going to go down the 6 route. It didn't impress me.
Okay. All right. Well, I can tell you this. This is going to be the lowest scoring game of tonight, because we have got some really high scoring games. This is available on PC, Xbox, and PlayStation. And you might not want to bother with it because it got a 4 out of 10.
4.
Wow.
Yeah.
Might as well install it now.
Yeah, so maybe I won't actually fire it up. I'll just uninstall it.
Yeah. I actually think it's the lowest game score for a game that we've talked about this year so far. Bearing in mind, we've only done about 3 or 4 weeks of reviews, but yeah, not the greatest start for that. So there you go. So that's Werewolf the Apocalypse. Don't bother buying it now. We'll go on to some news next. Couple of things that have been of interest. Going to talk about some EA games. Going to kind of touch on one very briefly, and then we'll go into a main one where lots of news has happened this week. So EA have had a meeting and basically said that a game that was supposed to be, again, really big AAA game that came out in Feb 2019, and everyone was like, wow, can't wait for this when it was announced at E3, was Anthem. And Anthem put out some demos about 6 months prior, and when it came out, it sucked hard, and hardly anyone played it. I was really looking forward to that game, and then when I did play the demos, it was shocking. I didn't touch it, and the community quickly fell away from it, and it got quite badly savaged. They have tried to patch it up and make it better, and the average scores for it sit around about 6 out of 10 now these days. However, it has been decided that EA are going to investigate the game and give it 1 more week to come up with a report to decide whether they are going to close the servers down on the game permanently or not. This game is only 2 years old and is literally going to be shut down. What are our thoughts about that? And have you ever played the game? I'm going to start with Tunes.
I'll be honest, never even heard of it. It's something where when I saw what you was going to be talking about, I had a quick look and I'm like, nope, that's somehow has completely skipped my radar. And it sounds like probably for good reason. But no, it's not something I'd seen or definitely haven't played. I'm almost wondering whether I should like grab it quickly, give it a play before they sort of close it off.
I mean, we're going to know in the next 7 days. It was announced yesterday, so in 6 days or so, whether they're going to close it off. It is free on EA Play. And again, if you've got Game Pass Ultimate, you'll get EA Play included. Ironically, that still hasn't made me want to play it. I played the demo and found it was really boring. But it was a game that I saw the trailers for and thought, this looks fantastic. The way you fly, feel almost like being like Iron Man and stuff. And it's never dragged me back in. If they turned around and said, no, we're going to keep the servers going, I might actually have a look at it just to see where it was at. But it didn't fare well. Dave, did you give it a go?
No, I never did. I was the same as you. I saw those initial sort of gameplay trailers, especially like the ones that did some of the earlier game shows, and it looked really good then. As you say, you sort of flying around that world in the your cool robot suit you put to yourself, which sounded really cool. But once those reviews came out, we found out it really wasn't up to scratch at all. So I've never thought about going to it, even though it's free to play at the moment on Game Pass. No, it's not going to bother. And I suppose EA are going to have to decide: do you still keep throwing money at the damn thing?
Yeah,
it's got a bad reputation now, hasn't it? Is anyone going to go back to it?
And it's weird. It's not. It didn't get a bad reputation because it was a bad game. It was just that it was so mediocre, and it didn't live up to the expectation. Like, it wasn't broken when it came out. The game worked. I want to clarify that. But it was just that mediocre. And then when they said, when you pretty much finished the main game, the end game was so bland. It's a bit like that Avengers game that came out. Everyone said the same thing. Once you get through the couple of hours of that, there's nothing to it, and there's nothing reason to go back to it. So that 2020 was the Avengers was 2020's Anthem, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it sounds about right. I mean, if you're going to do those sort of live service games, you've got to get them right, straight out the gates, really, to keep the community there, keep people invested. Otherwise, they just get fed up with it, and it all tails off way too quick. That's what's happened with Anthem. That's what's happened with other ones.
Well, this is quite funny. Gov's just said the only person I know enjoys is anti-vaxxer, and that says a lot. So there you go.
And to be fair, the only Avengers game you should ever be playing is Lego Avengers. So
yeah, because it's awesome. That's the only one you should be playing. But however, we have got some better news from EA, because last week people were losing their shit over the fact that the Mass Effect trailer for the first 3 games that's been put into a package came out. So I'm going to play the trailer, but there's lots of different news, some good, some bad. But I'm going to play the trailer for this, and then we'll talk about this. This is due out. When we got a date for this yet, Dave? Did we know?
Oh, I've got a notion it could be in May, but don't quote me on that. It
might be on the trailer, but I wasn't sure when I watched it. I can't remember if it was on there. But let's have a look. So let's check this out. This is going to be Mass Effect, the legendary edition. Why they add extra words onto these games, I'll never know. But here we go. Let's go check this out.
do this.
There we go. So that is Mass Effect, the Legendary Edition, which is going to be out on pretty much all platforms, apart from Switch, as far as I'm aware. Now, we're going to talk about the good, bad, and the downright weird of Mass Effect. So the first kind of good thing about this collection is the fact that it contains, obviously, all 3 games, and it basically got 40 DLCs, which is huge. So you get everything. However, not all the DLCs are there because, unfortunately, there was one DLC that has got lost. And it's because, and it was a DLC from Mass Effect 1 called Critical Station. Now, apparently, when they redid Mass Effect for the PlayStation 3, it was also missing as well. And the reason behind this was that it was actually not made by BioWare. It was made by another software house. And when they finally got their hands on it to put it on the PlayStation 3 version, it was corrupt and they've lost all the gaming code and they have not been able to retrieve it. Therefore, you've got 40 DLCs, but not that one. Most of the fans were like, oh, we really wanted this one, which is not so great. The second thing we're going to talk about is it is not coming out for next generation consoles. Now, when I say that, what I mean is the version you get is the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One version. It will run on the new consoles, but it has only been made for the old gen. And they've said we might consider doing an upgrade, but if we did it, we would have fallen behind. And we want it to be, this was always planned to be an old gen collection. So we'll have to see whether they bring that into it. And then the downright weird, they've actually reshot and moved camera angles on some of the scenes because Mass Effect is well known for pausing a little bit too long on some of the characters' arses. And it has come up many a time and has been used with many memes and YouTube videos where there are very uncomfortable pauses looking at different aliens and men's and women's arses. So they have now changed some of the camera angles so it doesn't seem so pervy. Dave, you played some of the original Mass Effect games, haven't you?
Yeah, I played all 3 of them.
So,
and all the DLCs.
Let me know, are you excited for this? Are you upset that it's not going to be for next gen? And what do you think about the arses situation?
Oh, the arses thing, who cares? It doesn't really make any difference, does it? As you say, it was a bit pervy in the first place. You have to wonder what they were thinking when they were doing some of that. But I can't see it matters. I mean, if anyone's really fussed about it, I'm sure the PC modding community can move the camera back where it was if anyone really wants it. But that's up to them. That particular DLC you were saying it was missing, I think it was called Pinnacle Station. That wasn't much in the way of a bit of DLC compared to everything else. It was more like a sort of shooting range horde mode, I think. It wasn't really that great. I can't say I'd miss it.
Okay.
There's much better ones in there.
Why the fans are going so mad for it? Or do you think because they want it to be, they're completionists, so they want all of it? Yeah,
they probably just want that. They'd love it in there. But if the source code's gone, the source code's gone. It would take them absolutely an age to rewrite it again. Same if they want to do a proper next-gen version, they'd probably have to move it onto a different version of Unreal Engine. So I think it's an old version 3 of Unreal Engine it runs on. So to get anything new, nice graphical effects, you'd have to ship it onto Unreal Engine 4. And that would push any sort of release date back. Yeah. It'd be a lot of work moving it over to a new engine. And as to looking forward to it, if I hadn't already played through it years ago and put all the time and all the effort in to get through it, I'd probably consider playing it. But I don't think I'd go back to it. It was good. I had my time with it, played through it, loved it. But that was it, done.
I think this is possibly going to be a stopgap ready for the next Mass Effect, which we played like 15-second teaser for at the start of this year, because
that's years away. That one is.
But this will kind of keeps
the brand alive, doesn't it, in people's minds?
Yeah, keeps in mind because it's been quite a while. I mean, well, I say quite a while. Andromeda was a couple of years ago, and that got mixed reviews, but it's got better as time goes on. Dave, I knew I'd do that again. Tunes, what do you think?
That's just point.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
I'm probably their target market because I only ever played the first Mass Effect. For some reason, the others kind of just skipped past me. I was probably kind of too busy with like Gears of War and stuff like that. So yeah, seeing that they're doing sort of 3-in-1, I'll definitely be getting it because that way, I can't even remember how long ago it was that I played through number 1, and it's something that will give me to get my teeth into.
Okay. I never really played any of them. I played a little demo of Mass Effect 3, but it didn't draw me in enough to play it. And I started playing Andromeda and didn't mind it. Literally a couple of weeks ago, I streamed that. But yeah, I think for me, this is a thing. If you love those games, you'd probably get it. I do find it weird that they've not geared it up for the next gen, but they said they haven't ruled that out. So it's not like, no, it's not happening. You might find in a year's time or even 2 years' time, it does get a rehaul. But then if that's the case and you have got a next-gen console, why would you buy it now? So yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Moving on to our next game of tonight. We've got our next game is out for PC and Switch only. This is a cool little platformer game, which is called Blue Fire. We will check out the trailer for this, and then we'll discuss it and see how did it fare when it came out Thursday last week. Let's have a look.
Rated everyone 10 and up.
There you go. So that is Blue Fire. I said it's out on PC and Switch. Came out on Thursday. This is quite a crafty little platformer, and you can literally get little mechanics that help with the way that you progress, and you learn skills. And also, there's always a thing, a bit like with some of the Zelda games, you have an energy meter. So if you do too much jumping from platform to platform, you can get worn out and fall out. But you can add things to make that work. So you can plan it strategically to do so many jumps and then stop, time it, get your energy back up, and then go again. So it's really, really kind of cool little platformer. Start with Tunes. Is this kind of your game? Would you give this a go?
Hell yes. Literally, I saw some gameplay earlier, and I just thought it took me back to Mario 64, but almost, as you mentioned, almost like a cutesy Zelda type version of it. And yeah, I really like the look of this. So I will be getting that to, in fact, I'm probably going to bump that up to the second game I play next week, Behind Nuts, just because I really like the look of it.
Okay. So after we talked about Nuts, that's getting, but there you go. Interesting. Dave, your thought?
I thought it's got a nice graphical style to it. I like the look of it, and I always like the sort of the classic Zeldas with the dungeons you go into, the puzzles and stuff you got to solve, and then the combats. If it's got that sort of feel to it, I could see myself giving it a go as well.
Cool. I mean, I'm guessing with Tunes, you'd be playing it on PC, and Dave, would you give that a whirl on the Switch, would you? Or would you do that on PC as well?
I could do it on either. It depends which has got a good sale on.
So, scores on the doors. What do we reckon? What do we reckon out of 10 this would get?
I'll go for a 7.
Okay.
I
Tunes?
think it's going to be an 8. But, I mean, to be fair, that is my own kind of bias leaking into there as well, just because I think it's pretty cool.
Okay. What do we reckon in the chat? Oh, Lou says 10 out of 10. Professor, hello, Professor. Good to see you. Says Nintendo seems to lack in sales. Discord is saying a 7. Oh, we're talking about, just so you know, Professor, we are talking about Blue Fire that came out for PC and Switch last Thursday. So there you go. Governor says they're going to give it a 5. So we'll see how we go. I'm going to see anyone got any other guesses in the chat. I'm going to literally wait 5 seconds to see if we've got any scores. If not, I'm going to reveal the score. Bearing in mind, I have said the scores are pretty high for some of these games. And there we go. Right. 8 out of 10. 8 out of 10. Yeah. Which is a pretty cool score. But not the highest of this week's selection, believe it or not. Just to kind of throw a few more in there. Just wanted to say a couple of people hello to. I've got loads going on in the chat. I'm trying to catch up with it. I'm so far behind. My apologies. And now I've done something and I can't even see where I am with it. There's Lou's going on about looks graphic mechanics, loves the style, underrated. Those games. Sorry, I'm just going to. Apologies if I don't catch everything. I see loads of stuff going on. But there you go. Screw it. Move on to the next one. So that's Blue Fire. It's just chat's whizzing like that. I can't see it quick. I might have to put like a slow mode on, but we'll see what happens. That's available on PC and Switch and gets across the board an 8 out of 10. Next bit of news. So we talked a little bit about this last week with the scalpers, but the fact that there's been shortages of parts to get PlayStations and the new Xbox Series X out quicker. Now, interestingly enough, PlayStation have announced that they have not hit their sales targets. They've fallen short. They were hoping to shift 7.6 million PS5s by the end of March. Now, the funny thing is, Microsoft have come back and said, well, we've exceeded our targets of selling the Series X, but that's not hard when your main competitor that was going to shift more units than you actually basically isn't able to get them out because they're struggling to get the parts. The funny thing is, they're saying that they should be able to start getting stock of PS5s out in the spring. So they're back where Microsoft was saying. Microsoft can get Series S's out, but not Series X's. But obviously, Microsoft said before Christmas there would be a delay, and Series X's wouldn't be landing until March. They've now said that's going to be June. So they're going to be even further back than what PlayStation can do. So it's all well and good saying, yay, we sold more than PlayStation, but technically that's going to switch round because PlayStation will get the stuff out quicker and probably catch up. And yes, PlayStation are probably disappointed that they haven't hit 7.6 million consoles sold in the first 3 months. But to be honest, they're going to do way more than that in the future. What are our thoughts on all this?
Oh, it's a shame we've got these stock shortages. It doesn't help with the whole scalping issue, does it? They've got no reason to like lower prices. Demand is still going to be there for these few consoles that are up there on eBay, still driving those prices up. So it is a shame, but hopefully soon they'll be able to get the the chip shortage sorted out over in was it China or Korea or wherever they make them. That's what get these things back out there, then more people can get them. Bring those prices down again, and more people can start enjoying the games that are on them. There's some good stuff on both platforms, especially on the PlayStation. I've found a few good ones on there so far.
It's interesting. They were saying, most people were saying, look, people are like, having a moan and panic, and saying, well, to be honest, you could actually wait 6 more months because there is only really a handful of games that have come out for the PS5 that are exclusive and decent, whereas there are no real exclusives, not many to talk of, only literally a handful for Xbox. And the chances are they'll still be around on Game Pass anyway. So people don't really need to rush out and get these consoles. You'll still get a decent console probably coming up to this Christmas for 2021 and then still get some games. Tunes, what do you think about it?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, with kind of the pandemic putting a bit of a kibosh on things, it didn't help. But also, I just don't think either company has handled it very well in terms of they've got all of these big ideas and big expectations, but how much did their team really look into the infrastructure and see about how feasible it was? Because I think they were, Microsoft have said, we've exceeded our targets, but I just don't think either company has handled it as best as they could. But it's just like you say, we're not going to see any big titles or any decent titles probably come out for a good few months anyway. So there's no sense in paying over the odds for them just to say you've got it when you're still going to be waiting God knows how long before a slew of titles comes down on either platform that you think, I really want to play that.
Yeah. It's an interesting thing. Gov's quite rightly said here, it just says, I think they haven't created any demand. It's just a console. And he's also mentioned about the fact, I know we had this conversation when he was on the show, saying that he didn't feel that Spider-Man Miles Morales was a full game. It was almost seemed like a DLC, but now they've announced a DLC for the game that he feels is a DLC. But, there seems to be a handful of titles that came out with the PS5 when we first started talking about them on this show. But it doesn't seem to be that much in the next couple of months scheduled. There's only a little handful. So I don't think anyone's going to really miss much because, those games are still going to be around in 6 months' time, especially if they're going to start getting the PS5s out by spring. If people start getting their hands on them again, that's not really going to be an issue, is it?
No, it'll be fine. It's always the way anyway. New console comes out, you've still got a year or so. The old gen's still perfectly valid. And Sony did backtrack when they said some of the initial games were going to be PS5 exclusives. They changed that back, didn't they? So was it Miles Morales and the next Horizon game are coming out on PS4 anyway? Right, I almost wouldn't be surprised if the next God of War did as well, because you bet there'll be a lot of people who still want to move to PS5 and they want to maximise sales of that. So I could still see that coming out on PS4, but of course they ain't saying anything about that one yet. Is
that due 2022?
They say 2021, don't they? Holiday 2021, but I could also see that slipping into next year as well.
I think it will, seeing that we know very little about it right now. They only really kind of dropped it in at the Game Awards, didn't they? Just before Christmas, mentioned it was happening. There's been no footage.
Oh, yeah, and that was just the title screen, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Just name. Yeah. Nothing else.
Okay. So we'll have to see. But yeah, I still think, into 2022, back end of 2022 is probably when you will see the games start coming out for old gen. As Gov said, you know what this DLC needs? More DLC. It's very true. We'll see. It's not anything to create panic, but it does make me laugh that they go, oh God, we haven't hit our sales targets. It's like, did you forget there was a pandemic on and it's going to be difficult to get stuff and the whole thing with stalkers, it does amaze me. It almost, to me, that's bad publicity for themselves. Just say, do you know what? We've sold 4 million or 5 million. No one's going to give a shit, really, are they?
Be happy.
Yeah, be happy about it. Stop being miserable. fucking game developers and console developers. Be happy. You're shifting more anyway. People are in a pandemic, they ain't got anything else to do, playing games and watching shows like this. So, you know, be happy about it, Sony. Stop being miserable bastards. There you go. Right. On to the next thing. Another game. This is purely a Switch title. It did come out on PC 2 years ago to some rave reviews, so bear that in mind, people. And this is another one that's got a bloody long title, which you know I'm just probably not going to get right if I can get this working. There it is. Right. It didn't want to queue up then. I was like, oh, dear. Here we go. So this is, wait for it, Odysseus Cosmos and his robot quest. Here is the trailer, and we will play this and see what people think of the game. Here we go.
Want to hear something really funny? You're stuck in orbit near a black hole. And you know what's even funnier than that? You are all
Alone.
well, almost. That's right. It's a classic pixel adventure game. Get ready to look, use, and especially to resist temptation. This is a smart game for thinking people who aren't afraid of a bit of silliness. Real gaming, real riddles, and one really nerdy robot. Odysseus Cosmos and his robot quest.
There we go. So as I say, that came out on PC 2 years ago. It is a point-and-click adventure. Not necessarily something that might go well with a Nintendo Switch. But if you love your games, such as things like Monkey Island, and even more so recently, games like Thimbleweed Park, point-and-click adventures have been coming back, especially with a lot of the LucasArts games. They've remastered them, like Full Throttle, Day of the Tentacle, all that sort of stuff. I'm going to go with Tunes first. What do you think of this?
It's like, I don't know if anyone's seen it, but there was a TV series called Code Monkeys, proper set in 8-bit like design, really funny. But it's like Code Monkeys, but set up with Beneath the Steel Sky, but set in the arc from like the 100. They proper mixed it up. But I like it. It's I'm a big fan of the old point and click. So back on my Amiga days with Beneath the Steel Sky, Simon the Sorcerer, Monkey Island, Day of the Tentacle, all of those. I really love those sort of games. So yeah, I'm surprised I hadn't seen this before. But yeah, it's something that's going on my list.
Yeah, this wasn't on my radar. I'd never heard of this. And if this came out 2 years ago on PC, I'd never heard it. It only came on my radar literally a couple of weeks ago that it was coming out for Switch. So I thought it was a Switch-only game and then looked into it. Dave, have you ever heard this before? Was this something you'd give a go?
It's not one I'd heard of. You think with that title, if you had heard it, you'd definitely remember it, wouldn't you? It's a bit of a curious one. But I used to love those point-and-click games as well back in the day. You mentioned some of my favourites earlier, the Monkey Islands, lots of LucasArts ones. I think one of my all-time favourite ones was the Dig, which was another LucasArts one. That was really good. Absolutely loved that one. That was a fantastic one. So I'd give this a go just because it's point-and-click.
Okay.
It's fantastic games. And the Switch can be quite a good platform for them because it is touchscreen if you're using it in portable mode. So it's point and click with its sort of interface works well on that.
Click then, isn't it? Mm-hmm. In that respect. Okay. A couple of people are coming in with scores. Lou says 4 out of 10. Draconic says 3 out of 10.
No love there for the point and click.
Yeah, well, blimey. Professor says 6 out of 10, but then maybe 7 out of 10 because kids will probably love this. What else we got? Anyone else? It would be it could work well on a phone. Discord says 5 out of 10. Now, I could tell you straight away that Draconic is wrong with his figure because we said that Werewolf was the lowest scoring game this week and it's got 4 out of 10. Governor says 8 out of 10. But he says that's what the journalists will give it, but he'll give it a solid 4. And me giving it an 8. Let's go. Tunes, what do you reckon?
I reckon it's going to be about 7.5 because, I mean, for me, I'd be 8.5. But that's because those sort of games are totally in my wheelhouse. Mm-hmm. But I appreciate not everyone loves those sort of games. So I'd hope it'd still be up around 7.5.
Okay. And Dave?
I'll try an ace, like Mia suggested.
Okay.
Let's see if she's right.
Well, will it surprise you to tell you that it got 9 out of 10?
It would.
And
Good on it, though.
It got 9 out of 10 pretty much on average. I checked the PC reviews from 2 years ago. So basically, they've seamlessly ported it over onto Switch. No problems at all. And it gets 9 out of 10. But it's not one of the highest. Well, it's one of the highest. Am I giving that away? Of the games. There are no 10 out of 10s tonight. But it's not the top one. It shocked a lot of people. Professor's like, wow. And Lou's like, what the fuck? And Discord's like, bloody hell.
So all the reviewers must have been like me.
I know. I'm not trying to make fools of you. Honest. Seriously.
We're going to have to try it now.
Yeah, it's old journalists, he said. Gov says it's the old journalists. They love that.
Oh, yeah. Brings nostalgia out for us.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So if you've got a Switch, it's new out on Switch. Came out on Thursday, sorry. Came out last Thursday. So give it a try, or if you've got it on PC, you can get it on Steam and there. But there you go. Next little bit of news before we move on to our next game. So Rare, that we have talked about many a time, have made some amazing games ever since pretty much since the early 80s when they used to be called Ultimate, into the Nintendo era, Super Nintendo, N64, moving all the way into PC, and then obviously found home with Xbox. And most recently with games like Sea of Thieves. One game that they are probably the most well known for, apart from Donkey Kong Country, is Goldeneye, which is an absolute smash on the N64. So a couple of years ago, when Rare Replay came out, everyone was like, oh my God, a collection of Rare's games, from everything from the Amstrad all the way to like the early Xbox, and Goldeneye wasn't on it. Yet there was N64 and Nintendo games on there, and a lot of people were disappointed. There's been a lot of talk about getting Goldeneye resurfaced and remade and Rare getting behind it. However, it has come to light in the last couple of weeks that basically there's so many legal battles and things going on with it that Rare will not be able to release it, and said this game will not come out because of all the legal issues. But you can, if you're quick, get a copy of it. Not that we condone this. And both Dave and Tunes are going to talk about how you can possibly get hold of it, because they have seen footage of this. I've seen tiny bits, but they've seen more footage than I have. So, Dave, do you want to start? Because you messaged me saying, I've seen this, and it actually looks better than the old N64 stuff. So tell us a little bit, and then I'll ask Tunes about some stuff as well.
Well, yeah, as I said to you earlier backstage, seeing it in its new form, it's the way you remember it through your rose-tinted glasses, not like as it actually was back on the N64 with its slightly muddy graphics and ridiculously low frame rates and any explosions like started to happen on screen.
Yeah.
But it's very cool. I mean, if you go to the right places, get the right emulator, you can get it working very, very easily. Yeah. And it does look good. They did a decent job just bringing the graphics up to a good level, because it was going to be a 360 arcade title. Yes. So the graphics they've done for it look really good for that. Runs nice and smooth. And the one thing I'd forgotten about in that game is pretty much anything you shoot just seems to blow up. Even like a cards and a desk, you shoot it off the desk, boom, blows up. So is everything else that was on the desk. I'd forgotten they did stuff like that back in that game.
So technically they... what's that guy that does all the bloody Transformers films, just love blowing shit up?
Oh, you're thinking of Michael Bay? Yeah,
so technically Goldeneye was Michael Bay or Michael Bay.
Yeah, everything just blows up.
Yeah, just blow everything up. Drop a glass on the floor. Gone. Yeah. Tunes, your thoughts? Because I know you've had a look at this as well.
Yeah, so when I heard that it had been leaked, the first thing I did was jump on YouTube to see like who'd uploaded some footage, and it looked really smooth. Just like Dave said, it's how you remember the original GoldenEye looking. And the good thing about it is when they switch between like the different modes of the original GoldenEye and the remaster, and you just see how much they've improved it. The fact that it was going to be like an XBLA game is insane because it looks that good. It just looks so professional. And yeah, it is something that by all accounts, it's not too difficult to get running if you dig into the archives and see what you can find.
So all we're saying is we're not condoning you can get a copy, but if you know where to get one from, we might put it in the Discord, our own private Discord for the people. So, but you're not allowed to tell anyone. But I have seen, apparently there's one, keep it stum, because I don't want to get sued. But there's quite a cool little feature about if you're feeling really nostalgic, you can flip between the original N64 graphics and that, can't you?
Yeah.
Oh, you can. It's as smooth as it is in so like the Halo Anniversary games. Just press a button and it immediately just changes back to the old and back to the new. It's interesting looking at the change. They did a good job with updating the graphics because it's still the game you remember, the way it plays, the way it controls. It just looks better, runs better.
Now, Miz asked the question: Is that legally how you get the game? And the answer is we can't answer that question because it might cause us problems. But if you want to legally get a copy that's very similar, you could either get yourself an N64, or they did bring out a weird version of GoldenEye where they replaced Pierce Brosnan with Daniel Craig and revamped the game a couple of years ago, which is not as good.
Didn't get good reviews. I think it was more of a Call of Duty style game. Call of GoldenEye or GoldenEye.
They messed around with it too much, but there you go.
It was the fact that it was GoldenEye in name only because it was. I'm pretty sure it's a different team that developed it, and they just made a different game and we'll call it GoldenEye.
The basis of the story and the levels were the same, but the levels weren't the same maps, if that makes sense. So the first level, when you start with the dam, yes, it's a dam, but it didn't run how the game worked, like, because there was a whole section where you got into a truck and drove with a friend and then start shooting the guys out of the truck. Well, that was never in the N64 version. So what's that all about? So yeah, your choice. There you go. Moving on to our next game. This is another remastered game, and this is actually a remastered version of two games. This is for PlayStation 5 only because both these games are already out on PlayStation 4. One of these only came out pretty much about 2 years ago. It's a collection that has Nioh and Nioh 2. And surprise, surprise, this is called the Nioh Collection, which is for the PS5. And this came out on Friday. So let's have a look at the trailer and we'll discuss the game very shortly. Here we go. There you go. So that is the Nioh collection. Now I'm going to start with tunes on this because you've got this already downloaded and ready to go as it came out on Friday. So have you played the other games before, or is this going to be your first dabble into these games?
It's my first foray into these sort of games, and it was literally only because these aren't the sort of games I normally play. A bit like with Werewolf, it's not my standard sort of go-to type game. But having a conversation with some friends last week, and they said, you should really do it, because I'm probably going to get kicked off the stream for saying this, but I was never a fan of the Final Fantasy series either. And
you can get away with that, it's fine.
But yeah, loads of my friends raved over it, and with the whole like JRPG thing, it's never really interested me. But I thought I need to give it a go, and it was purely by coincidence that I was looking around on Friday and saw, oh, this came out today, so I was like, I'll have that. And yeah, it's going to be a case of see how long I last on it. If I like it, I'll keep it on. If I don't, then it will be off pretty quickly.
Okay. All right. Dave, your thoughts on it? You played any of these before?
No, never played any of them before. I think they're comparable with like the other Soulsborne games, like Dark Souls and Bloodborne, for like the level of difficulty in them. And
yeah.
I've kind of dabbled in some of those games a bit. I never do particularly well in them. I can never quite get the hang of the combat system to just blaze through it like other people seem to. I always struggle to get the parrying right. Never read those parry windows, unfortunately. So I might play them, but I'm probably going to get to a point where it will just be too much. I can't get any further in it. It's how I've ended up with the other ones before.
Okay. See, again, I don't really know much about it. I did see people streaming this last year because the second one came out on PlayStation 4, 2019, I think. Apologies if I've got that date wrong because I ain't got a PlayStation. But I know a lot of people were streaming it at the start of last year. Professor's agreeing with you on that. Scores are coming in. Lou's saying 10 out of 10. Mia's saying a 9. Professor's saying 8. Draconic is saying 10 out of 10. What do we reckon this one got, gents?
I know there's a lot of love for these games out there. They are popular. So I don't think they're 10s, but I reckon they're pretty high. So I'll go with 9.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's almost like a reverse of the other way, like where I would have given it a 9 but thought everyone would give it lower. I think it will be a 9, but me personally, I probably would have put it down at about a 7.5. But I think it's going to be really well received. Okay.
Well, you're correct. It has been very well received. And it is our second of the 2 highest games of tonight. And this, as well as obviously with Odysseus, gets a 9 out of 10 across the board. So those are two highest games tonight. So that'll give you a bit of a clue of the scores for the last 2 games we talk about. But yeah, got massively. And I think the advantage, and we talked about this a little bit briefly last week, is that you can have your saves cross over from your PlayStation 4 onto the PlayStation 5 version, which is cool. Whereas with the game Control, as Dave found out, and a lot of other people found out and were quite annoyed, doesn't. You have to start right back from the beginning.
It's thoroughly annoying. If the other games can do it, why couldn't Control do it?
Yeah, exactly. This is why there was a lot of hate coming out last week for Control, which is a shame because it is such an excellent game. But, if other people can do it, they've proved it can be done. Hello, King of Queens. Good to see you. Welcome back. Great to have you back on the channel. Lou was like, it should have been 10 out of 10. But yeah, no.
Fan of the games, then I see.
Yeah. Well, he's obviously a big fan. I'm guessing a big fan. But there you go. So that was 9 out of 10. As I say, that came out on Friday, and it's for PlayStation 5. We're going to talk. Oh God, Dave, do I have to say this? Do I have to say this game ever again?
You do. You're going to be saying it all, yeah. So you're going to.
And every week I say, hopefully, this is the last week we're going to talk about it.
It'll never end. We'll be saying it till we're dead. Even when this channel becomes old age gamer guy, you'll still be saying it.
Yeah, I know. Well, if anything, like Lou said this week, he thought I was nearly 60. Thanks, Lou, by the way. I was going to say, well, it would be called old age gamer guy. But there you go. Before we do move on to that, Professor's got a question saying, who of us has a PS5 or Series X? Well, I am a Series X. Tunes, you want to go next?
I have neither. I'm a PC gamer, so like Nioh and that have been released on PC as well, which is how I got them.
Cool. And Dave will answer with the following answer, which is...
I have both, and a Switch, and a PC, and VR. I can't help myself.
He
I
has
should probably seek help.
He has everything. Yes. The lucky swine. But there you go. Right. Well, now we've broken it up with that, I might as well say Cyberpunk again, ladies and gents. Here we go. More Cyberpunk. Well, to be honest, I say more Cyberpunk news, but half of it is Cyberpunk and half of it is more CD Projekt Red. Okay. We'll come back to that question in a minute, Professor. We will come back to that question after this. First thing, we talked about 2 weeks ago how Cyberpunk was doing an update and it made a game-breaking bug in the fact that you couldn't complete the game, and then last week they did another patch and it fixed it. This time, something else has happened, and it's not actually happened to the console versions. It's actually happened to the PC versions. Literally a couple of days ago, it was announced that on the PC you can mod the game, and we've seen lots of examples, and we've talked about it on this channel, that you can mod the game in different ways. But there were some mods that weren't kind of the things that you really wanted. And that is that they basically go through all your data on your PC and basically fuck your PC for good and shut it down, because basically they are cyberpunking you. This apparently was supposed to be quite a big problem, but I think CD Projekt Red and other mod developers have jumped on it quite quickly. Dave, you know a little bit more about this, don't you? You want to tell us how they've tried to get that solved quite quickly, which I think they have done from what we've learned in the last couple of days. Yeah,
they have done it. It got picked up by the mod community. There's a particular group that make a thing called Cyber Engine tweaks that a lot of other mods then build upon, and they found the issue with some particular files. And I think it was only in a certain use case that if you downloaded like a save game that someone else posted up on a mod site that might contain some dodgy code, somebody could then possibly run remote code on your PC and try and take control of it, blah, blah, blah. But that mod community, they fixed the problem themselves in their little engine tweak.
Yeah.
And then CDPR actually brought out a hot fix for PC, I think it was last Thursday or Friday. And that's closed that loop out, properly for everybody. Yeah.
It's funny because everyone's saying now the PC version has been the superior version all the way, and then someone's obviously... Well, you'll see, obviously, people have just got it in for CD Projekt Red, because why would you even consider wanting to do that? It's almost like they're like, right, fuck you, we're going to run you into the ground, which I think is quite sad, really. But it's good to see that there's people there, like the mod community, want to stand by that and sort that out, which I think is really cool.
They usually do. If they find problems, they'll let the devs know, give them a chance to fix it properly.
Now, the interesting thing is, in the same week, there was a tweet that went out from someone who basically said, we are holding CD Projekt Red to ransom because we have hacked you, stolen all your source code for Cyberpunk and all your source code for The Witcher 3, and basically said, we're holding you to ransom, you deserve this. And this went viral. Now, CD Projekt Red have said they have checked everything as far as they can. But saying that, after they said they checked that the game works in the first place, I don't really trust them. And they couldn't find that they'd actually been hacked. But these hackers have said they've literally got 48 hours. And I believe this happened in the last 12 hours, I think. Probably reporting now. It happened, I think, in the early hours of this morning. And basically saying, you've got 48 hours, otherwise we're basically going to wreck your company. CD Projekt Red have now reported this, and this is what the twist is, because all the games commissions and things have basically been suing CD Projekt Red and also been investigated. They're now actually getting investigators to investigate this for a change, so they're actually kind of fighting back for once. I I'm going to start with Tunes on this. What are your thoughts about this? Because is it now that people are just like, oh, fuck you, let's just wreck CD Projekt Red? Which, to be honest, nobody really deserves that, do they?
No, I mean, it's a bit like, and I'm going to go a little off tangent, but people hold a peaceful protest. You always get the people that go there just to cause an argument. And it's the same with this. It's like, okay, CD Projekt Red have come out under fire, which is well deserved. But then you get the people that just want to go, that they go to whatever's hot and trending, like where they can like newsjack and cause chaos. And that's all what this is. Well, in my opinion, that's what this is. I don't think everyone's got it out for Project Red. I just think it's this a small minority that are making a nuisance of themselves.
It's interesting because the tweet that went out, I'm not going to show the tweet, but the tweet went out, used a phrase that someone said hasn't been used since the days of the film The Matrix, which makes them suspect that there's anything actually genuine about this tweet. It all seems a little bit suspect. But, I mean, as they proved, not everyone is gunning for CD Projekt Red, because if it was, all the mods would have just gone, yeah, do you know what? Let this game go to pieces. And they didn't. They fought. The mods fought back against people that were trying to hack the game, which is really cool. But they've got enough problems. They've had enough shit, and every week we talk about something going wrong with it. But I just hope, that it's a fucking computer game. There's more important things in the world. Don't take things so seriously, people. If you were that upset by the fact that the game come out, rather than hacking them or trying to hold them for ransom, just get a refund and don't play the game. It's simple as, really, isn't it?
Yeah, leave them in peace to fix it.
Yeah.
That's what they need, just a bit of quiet, bit of time to get it up to scratch.
Exactly.
Not all this shit going on. It's just they're going to put more delays in.
It's really bizarre because it just causes more hassle. If anything, it's just delayed more things with all the shit that they've had to deal with this week. So we'll see what happens. I'm going to go back to Professor's question, which was, out of the platforms that you've had, now bearing in mind I'm Xbox, so my answer is going to be Xbox. What are your favourites? So Dave, you Tunes, Dave. I'm going to keep doing that. I'm sorry. Have you been always on PC, or have you had other consoles and stuff?
No. Well, I mean, I started off life kind of Commodore 64, then Amiga. And I'd stuck with Amiga for a long time. I mean, the fact I've still got my Amiga 4000 now shows that I'm Commodore through and through. But I would, if I was having my own stream, I would definitely be retro gamer guy, because for me, I'd much sooner fire up like Rainbow Islands or Bubble Bobble and spend a couple of hours on that rather than sitting down at a game thinking, I've got 100 hours ahead of me to like try and make it through the main quest. But you know what? I think some of nostalgia, it would have to be my SNES. And when I got Super Mario World, and I mean, in that way, I've almost like contradicted myself, because obviously trying to get through the 96 levels of Super Mario, but when you're a kid, you're not thinking I've got like 96 levels ahead of me. You think I'm going to jump on Yoshi and make him eat things. But yeah, it's more the retro consoles that I've got that I still use. So probably be my SNES, my CD32, and maybe even my 3DO.
3DOs.
Yeah, I've got a 3DO Jaguar CDI. It's like, yeah, I'm probably what Dave is, but about 20 years ago.
Dave, what would you? Let's twist it a bit rather than going back to because I know you've pretty much had every console under the sun. But out of the four you've got now, so you've got your PC, your Switch, you've got your PS5, Xbox Series X. If you had to pick one, what would you go for?
Oh, I would probably say, if I had to go with one, just the PC, just because of the amount of options you've got with it. You got all the games seem to come on there anyway. Even such as exclusive on the other platforms, they seem to make its way across the PC, so you don't miss out on those there. You've got the option for VR on it. You can play all these old games, and you can usually make them even look even better. Then there's all the mods that come out for all the big games to help improve those, add more content to them. So as much as I love the consoles that I've got, and they're all great, the PC is just fab just because of the options it gives you.
You're getting some love for saying that, Dave. You're getting some love for that. So that's very true. Very true. Okay, we're going to move on to the next game. Now, ironically, our next game is a PC title. Now, this looks like a very retro game again, but looks rather cool. This is a game called Kinetic Edge. This came out on Friday, and we're going to check this out. Here we go. We'll play the trailer and we'll have a chat with that. Before you said that, before I did it, I will bring this. King of Queens said, "Can he have your autograph, Dave?" With that,
why not if he wants it?
Yeah, we can sort that out. Dave's has fan guys, gals, and non-binary pals. Yeah, that's very true. Here we go. We're going to play the trailer for Kinetic Edge. Here we go. Actually, I'm going to stop that because I didn't think I've done that right. So I'm going to do that again. I know there's a button.
I couldn't tell anything from that trailer.
Yeah, I know. I did it so quick. Well, you probably would have got the trailer, but there was going to be no sound on it because I pressed the wrong button. So let's try that again, folks. Here we go. There you go. That is Kinetic Edge. A couple of people saying it reminds them of Sonic. Music reminds you of Bomberman. Loads of that. My best description of this, to me, is it's Marble Madness set in the Tron universe. But with loads of other things, because the bit that got me is like the music's all techno and then you got to the golf and it's like it's like playing golf, which I thought was quite funny. But lots of different modes, as you see. There's quite a few different games in that. I'm going to go with Dave first. Would you give this a whirl on the PC?
I'll give it a go. You said the music was cool. I like the neon art style they've gone with there. I don't know how long I could look at it before it starts burning my retinas. It's pretty bright. Well, I like the different options for gameplay as well. I couldn't really tell what it was at some points. Was it racing, platforming, multiplayer? Is it just everything? Just throw the whole lot in there?
I think it is.
It looks that way. It didn't look like it'd be good fun though. Yeah,
it's. I think it'd be cool fun and a good multiplayer thing. Hopefully, it's something that might come on to other platforms as well. We'll have to see. Tunes, your thoughts on this?
Yeah, literally what you said about Marble Madness set in Tron. I was thinking exactly the same thing. And it goes from that into sort of things like zany golf, which I had on my Amiga, like with the golf part of it, and it's it almost like someone's gone, let's go retro, and like let's put all these little games in. It's a bit like, did you guys ever play 1980X?
It rings a bell, but
it came out a few years ago. It was only like season 1, but it was 3 different type of games that hark back to the old school set in one sort of game. So there was like a fighter, a bit like Final Fight, and that there was platformer. But yeah, and it just this is a sort of a bit of a nostalgia thing for me, so that's always going to get my attention. And I got it on Steam.
Okay.
About 5 minutes before the broadcast started.
Okay. Straight in there. So what do we reckon? The score? Seeing some scores there. Professor saying 8. King of Queens was saying a 7.9 then because he was going to go for 8, but then he's gone, probably will be a 7. Foxy, welcome back into the chat. Good to see you. You said he's missing tunes. That's why he's come back.
We miss you too, Foxy.
Mia's saying a 7.5. What do we reckon, guys? What do we reckon?
I'll go with a 7.
Okay. Tunes?
So, I'm with Mia on this, 7.5.
Okay. I can tell everyone it's a 7. It got 7 out of 10 across the board. It got good reviews, and they just said it's maybe a little bit too retro to be anything better than it was, but it's purely great fun, and you'll love it, and you'll play it. You might come back to it, but it's not something you're going to play like in 5-10 years' time. So there you go. You are a psychic, King of Queens. You are. You got that bang on right. You're right to change your score because you're like, well, I was going to go for 8, but now I'm going to go for 7. Boom, done. There you go, sorted. What about we're not too far. I think this show's going to be quite short this week. Dare I say? We'll see how we go because we're literally coming to our last. We've got one more game to talk about, and we've got one more news story, and we've got something else. So we'll see if we can pad this out or not. We'll see. I'm not going to pad this out till 11 o'clock, but there you go. But last bit of news, a really interesting news story that happened, and this did make me laugh, is I can never pronounce the name of this game, and ironically, I will be streaming this game in 2 weeks' time. It's on my list of games to play, which is Terraria, which was kind of referenced as a side-scrolling Minecraft game, but has done very well on numerous platforms and is pretty much on every platform you can think of until recently, because it was supposed to be coming to Stadia. We have our thoughts about Stadia on this channel, and it pretty much sums it up. But the reason it is not coming to Stadia is because Andrew Spinks, who's the guy that created Terraria, has done a very good with that game and owns basically the software house that made the game, got locked out of his Google account over 4 weeks ago and put a complaint in and said, I am missing thousands of pounds worth of apps that I've bought off Google Play, films, numerous other things, and I can't access it. Your customer service has been terrible. It's been 3 weeks. I still not can't access all my stuff. My YouTube account, I can't access that. Numerous other things. It needs to get sorted. 3 weeks have gone by. He has still not had any help. So he's basically turned around and gone, fuck you, I'm pulling my game off Stadia, which I actually think is quite rock and roll. Now, the only downside is that no one really fucking plays Stadia, so he probably wouldn't have sold many copies anyway. So it's not going to be a big loss. But hopefully we'll get a follow-up story on this. Might actually get their asses in gear, because I had an experience a year and a half ago where I had a YouTube account that we use all the time, and it got hacked. And not only did they change the email on it, they changed the phone number. So when it asks you the security questions, I can't get the thing to change the email. And we've complained, and it was an actual company account, and complained, and Google did fuck all about it. And in the end, we just had to scrap it and make it redundant. Now, luckily, it didn't destroy that YouTube account still sits there, but nothing new's getting added to it, which is a shame because there was one video on there that probably had over 10,000 views on something, which I was really gutted about. But it just shows that Google really don't give a shit. Do we think that this reaction will actually make Google get off their arse and sort this, or do you think they'll just go, don't care?
You might find. I was going to say, you might find they'll do something because now it's sort of blown up on Twitter, everyone's seen it. They might think, we better just do something just so we look good. But I think not just Google. Sometimes a lot of these big companies can be hard to get through to a human being and someone who can actually understand what you're trying to get fixed. It can be an absolute bloody nightmare. But I don't suppose the two people that use Stadia really missed the game. The dev's probably better off putting his resources elsewhere because Stadia aren't really doing much for their own games. They've closed their free gaming studios off this week.
Yes, they have.
So who knows how much longer Stadia's got anyway.
I was going to bring that up, but you beat me to it. So, in hindsight of everything going on, they have closed their own game developing thing for Stadia. So they're just going to let third-party games come in and run on that. But that shows that things aren't looking good. And have they actually developed any games yet? Or literally have they shut it down before any of the games have come out?
There's been a couple of exclusive games on it, I think from other studios, not their internal ones.
Right, okay.
I don't think they ever got far enough along with them. Probably couldn't see any point keeping the throwing money at it because it's not performing as they want, is it? People aren't that interested in it.
Yeah.
I mean, I did try it and it worked pretty well, but your mileage goes as well as your broadband, really. If your broadband's good, you get a good experience. If not, probably like for most people, not really worth it.
No.
You want the console in your house? Yeah.
Go somewhere else. Tunes, what do you think about this?
I mean, when I read it, I was like, good on you. But see, Stadia for me was like a throwback to sort of On Live, if anyone remembers that.
Yeah, I remember that one.
But yeah, it's sort of going the same way. And okay, I mean, our internet's got a lot better, but I can't see that those sort of services catering on for a little while yet. But I mean, it kind of sucks for Andrew. I mean, he was saying, I've just bought a 4K Lord of the Rings and I can't watch the end of it. And also the thing that is a kicker, the fact that he's lost access to his Gmail account that he'd had for over 15 years.
Yeah.
Now, that's for someone like me who's got, I mean, my email account that I've got goes back, not a Gmail, my own personal one, but it goes back sort of 16 years. Losing access to that would devastate me. So I feel his pain. And too right to sort of say, well, I'm taking my ball home then, and you can't have my game. But at the same time, it's not as if Stadia was the biggest platform anyway. It's more just a sort of a protest. I mean, it's gone viral, so it's achieved its purpose, I think.
I think if this had been something different, like Xbox or PlayStation or Nintendo were owned something similar and something like that, and then they went, right, I'm pulling the game from that, I think that would have such a bigger impact. But
absolutely,
because it's Stadia, it's like, well, the game's already on 4 other platforms. Most people have been playing it for donkey's years. It's a shame. I hope he does get it sorted. I think it's quite rock and roll that he did that, but whether they actually do anything is interesting. A couple of people saying, Professor says, generally a fan of Google, but for the fact they did that, it's really shitty. Fox is saying, another multi-million company right there. They don't care about a few people. That's the thing. So, we'll see. If I get a follow-up news story on that, I'll find out. But I am actually going to be streaming that game a week on Sunday. I've got it scheduled to play a week on Sunday. So we'll see what all the fuss is about, because it is quite a much-loved game. I've not played it at all. I don't know if you guys have ever tried it.
I did 10 years ago when it first came out in 2011. I played it for a while, enjoyed it, forgot about it, and literally I had forgotten about it for 10 years until I saw the news story, and I was like, I had that game.
I remember getting it. Remember hearing about it first, and I mean, again, it first came. I think it came to PC first, and then I think it came to Xbox 360 because I remember hearing about it on the Xbox 360, and I'm only just getting around to playing it now. So I think it's going to be interesting. Dave, have you ever played it? And then I'm going to ask the crazy question that Foxy's asked in the.
No, I've never played it. I've heard of it. Never looked at it. I didn't even realise it was 10 years old. Didn't know it'd been around that long.
To me, it only feels like a couple of years. But then Dave said, it's been around 11. I thought, actually, I remember seeing the news stories on the Xbox 360, so that makes me realise how old it is. So for those who know in the community, Foxy has been asking random questions about different styles of bread. And we might as well ask this live on the show. I've actually asked this, but what do you guys think about gingerbread? I love gingerbread and gingerbread.
Yeah, all good.
Gingerbread and women, or gingerbread snow men and women. I don't know the correct term. I don't know. No.
I can quite easily smash my way through a pack of ginger nut biscuits with probably 2 cups of tea. I could get through that. So I do have to ration myself.
How many gingerbread? I'm going to call them gingerbread people so we don't offend anyone. How many gingerbread people do you get in a pack? Or normally you just get one giant one, don't you? From memory, over here.
Yeah, and that's normally around Christmas.
Yeah.
Or you'll in the bakers, they might do a 3-pack or something. But I'm a big fan of the ginger.
I like the fact you could smash through a pack in 2 cups of tea. I think that's phenomenal. Dave, you familiar with the gingerbread?
Oh yeah, I do like it. I've got some ginger biscuits downstairs, mate. They're cracking.
See, Foxy, there you go. We're like a warm cup of milk sitting in a blanket. Oh man. Okay, we'll swiftly move on. Hey, you're on. Welcome. Oh no, someone tried to. Bloody hell, we've just been talking about people hacking into stuff. Someone tried to hack into your Discord. That's not good. But I'm glad you're here, mate. Glad you got here. So gingerbread. Big yes. There's a first. Talking about that on this show. Our final game of this evening is a game which is out on Xbox and PC. Came out on Friday. It's literally out on, if you've got Game Pass for Xbox or PC, you will get it free. This is a game called Project Winter. Let's check out the trailer. And I'm quite intrigued by this game, I have to say. So let's go check this out, and then we'll discuss it a little bit later on. Here we go. there we go. That is Project Winter. I saw a lot of things, people saying how cool the music is. And Foxy said, a game where Mag can actually hunt the animals. True, because after last Friday's show, me trying to play Hunter Call the Wild, where it took me 2 hours to shoot 2 rabbits, I might stand a chance in this. But I like the look of this because you can either work in co-op to escape, or you can dick each other over. As you saw, someone just basically killed all the other things by blowing up the bridge and other things. So this looks like great fun. It's also cross-platform across Xbox and PC. But obviously, it's not on any other platforms yet. But if it did become platform, this could possibly get entered into the VIP suggestions for the VIP streams. So I'm going to start with, as this is the last game, I'll start with Tunes on this one. What do you reckon to this, my friend?
Yeah, again, it's another one that I hadn't heard of. And seeing it takes me back to kind of like Populous meets The Sims meets like a South Park type game, because there was some sort of comedy aspects in there. But the fact that it's got co-op on there and you'll be able to do cross-play, I think that's the sort of game, sort of, if I hark back to my days in school and setting up Duke Nukem 3D on the school's network, it's the sort of thing that I'd probably play in co-op and it'll be a right laugh. Don't know if I'd do it kind of solo though.
Dave, your thoughts?
I think it looks nice. I like the art style they've gone for. Just make it stand out from the crowd. Really, it doesn't really look like much of the other stuff that's out there. And I get the feeling it's going for a bit of the sort of Among Us crowd, possibly with like the number of players, there's tasks to do. You can dick people over. Yeah. So I mean, that does look cool. As this is on Game Pass, I think it's a good way to get a lot of people into it. Because I can't say I'd be that inclined to go out and buy this game. Depending on how much it was. But if it's there on Game Pass, I'd be inclined to jump in and have a go, especially if like a group of friends were playing it that I knew, because you could have good fun, a good group of mates all jumping in and playing it.
It looks really good fun. As I say, it literally came out Friday and was straight on Game Pass straight away. Day release.
Oh, that's awesome. I didn't realise it was out on Game Pass. So that's good.
Out Friday. It's funny because I saw it announced on Game Pass before I even knew it had come out, which is really bizarre. So it was like, oh, okay, cool. And then it was like, oh, and it's actually out today as well. So I thought that was quite funny. Looking at the scores, Professor Stork saying 7 out of 10. Foxy said 7.5 out of 10. Looks really interesting. Art style is pretty unique. Me is going for an 8.5. But Foxy did agree with you, Dave, on the same thing. It's games like Among Us, and again, those are a big appeal to people at the moment.
Well, you get it, a particular type of game goes popular. Lots of people try and capture the same market, don't they?
So let's hope this one, I'm going to reveal the score in a minute, what we think the scores are, but let's hope this isn't going to be one of those copycats that's poor. But let's see, what do we think the scores are? Dave, we'll go with you first.
I'll go for an 8.
Okay. And Tunes?
I'm going to go with my last one. I think it'll be a 7.5.
Okay. Well, I can tell you, it got an 8 across the board for PC and Xbox. It's definitely worth checking out. So, folks, unless there's anything else that anyone wants to talk about, this show is going to end almost 20, maybe probably wrap it up by 1:45, finish about 15 minutes earlier. King of Queens said, I'm not saying the answer because I don't want to get accused of cheating again. I don't think you were cheating, because you kind of went one and then you changed your mind. So that's not cheating, is it? So there you go. You're cool, King of Queens. You're absolutely fine. Don't worry about that. But just to give a quick recap of games we talked about tonight, obviously the one that which was the big AAA game coming out this week, which got the worst score, was Werewolf the Apocalypse, that got 4 out of 10. We talked about the PC and Switch platformer Blue Fire, 8 out of 10. The point and click adventure, which came out 2 years ago on the PC, is now on the Switch. Odysseus, Cosmos and his Robot Quest got a 9 out of 10. The Nioh remasters of Nioh and Nioh 2 for PlayStation 5 got a 9 out of 10. Kinetic Edge on the PC got a 7 out of 10. And Project Winter for Xbox and PC got 8 out of 10. We always like to round up a show with a funny video. But before I do that, if anyone's got any questions in the chat that they either want to ask Tunes, Dave, or myself, I'm literally going to give you 30 seconds to do this because my aim is to try and wrap up the show bang on 1:45. Whether that actually happens or not, I don't know. But we can all go home 15 minutes early. We'll see. So if you've got any questions, now's the time to do it. If not, if they don't appear in the chat in the next minute, I'm going to play our last video from our last segment. Here we go. Oh, here you go. Tunes, how much time do you spend each day being awesome?
Oh, mate, you're going to make me blush. I try as much as possible, but don't always succeed.
Great answer. Any other question? I don't want to get random things like. Oh, here we go. Which game from Professor Stolt? Which game are you guys going to try from this selection? Oh, good question. So out of the 6 games, well, Tunes is probably going to try all of them, I think, because you downloaded all of them while we've been on.
To be fair, it's going to be most of them. Sort of, I'd already lined up Werewolf, Nioh, but seeing Kinetic, Blue Fire, and Project Winter, they're going to be going on. And to be fair, I think they'll probably go ahead of both Werewolf and Nioh. Okay. And also definitely the Odysseus Cosmos, because that's just me all over.
Nice. Dave, which one would you go for?
Oh, if I had to pick just one of them, that's a tough one. I think I'd probably have a look at that Project Winter. Just it's something I wouldn't usually play, so try something different. That looks interesting.
See, now I fall into the category of by default that I've only got 2 I can choose from, which is Project Winter or Werewolf. Well, you're going to get which one I'm going to go for, aren't you?
Oh, it's Werewolf all over, isn't it?
Yeah, of course, Werewolf. Yeah, I'm going to play that. No, I'm not playing Werewolf. No, fuck that game. Basically, I am really, if regardless of that, out of the 6 games, if I did have all platforms, Project Winter's kind of got my interest the most anyway. So I would actually give it a go. And as Foxy said, this definitely looks like a game that if we could get more people on cross-platform on it, could be a game that we could play in the community on this channel. So I would definitely give it a whirl. We'll take one final question and then I'm going to run with the last video for tonight. So if you got a question, whack it in the chat for us and our guests. Nothing weird about, I saw some bloke posting about Man United or something, nothing like that shit. I think that got deleted. I don't know what was going on there with that. I only saw it and then it got deleted. It was gone. I didn't even read the full thing. Oh yeah, the ultimate question. Foxy's asking, garlic, yes or nay?
Yeah.
See, I've got to say, I'm Team Mia with this. Not a big fan, although I have it in certain things, but I'm not the world's biggest fan. I'm sorry, Foxy.
Still, but you're kind of like, I don't hate it. You're kind of all right with it. You're like Switzerland. You're sitting on the fence with it. Yeah,
I am neutral as fuck.
That's all right, and so that's almost a 3 out of 3, Foxy. I think Dave don't mind it. You know my thoughts on it. As he says, hashtag Team Garlic. If you have no idea what we're on about, then maybe you should check out our Discord. By all means, I will try and do this because every time I do this, I mess this up horribly. But if you want to join our Discord and get into other things in the chat, and it worked this time, there you go. Click on that link and you can connect with our community and basically talk everything garlic and probably gingerbread moving on for the next couple of weeks, I would have thought. There you go. There you go. And we could do sometimes talk about computer games. So there you go. Right. Occasionally. It has been known. Sometimes. On the odd occasion. Every now and then. Final video. We always try and finish with a funny video. And I actually saw this, I kid you not, the day after we did last week's show. I was like, why didn't this crop up on my radar a week before? But saying that, I actually think this is a great little video. So everyone hopefully is familiar with the Bernie Sanders meme and picture of him sitting on the chair, wrapped up, glass and all. Well, it became a phenomenon, and so much so that Bernie Sanders is now appearing in some well-known computer games. That's all I'm going to say. I'm going to play you this video. There are some well-known video games that have been modded to have Bernie Sanders in. So here we go. Here is a montage of Bernie Sanders in video games. Enjoy.
Welcome to the family, son.
Birdie, no! All right, boys, we need to get out of here before Birdie gets back. Oh. Hey there, Bernie.
Thought you'd just slip out before dinner was done?
Oh.
You're doing great.
Dude, just the way he flies is perfect. Oh my god. It's Boss Bernie. Thank you, Bernie. Appreciate it. Dude, look, it's a giant birdie just chilling.
Hey, jackass! Did your mother ever teach you it's not nice to steal?
No, he punched him in the minute.
There you go, folks. Bernie Sanders in Resident Evil 7, Dark Souls, Skyrim, and Devil May Cry 5. Who knew that man would become a computer game legend?
I bet he didn't.
I bet he didn't. And not tonight. And I actually don't think that's the coolest thing with that meme. And even though it does look weird that chair stumbles down the hallway like that, I have to say, when it lands, especially it lands for the one in Skyrim, that to me was the best one. What did you guys think of that?
Oh, they were all really good, weren't they? But it fit into Skyrim beautifully.
Yeah, it was. When I first saw it, I was crying for ages. The only way I think they could top it is, I think his name was Belga or Bilga. He was the last boss in Final Fight, and he was in a wheelchair, like going around. And if they could do that with Bernie Sanders, make him like 16-bit in a wheelchair as a final boss on that, the piece de la resistance.
I remember that enemy. He had didn't he have like a spear gun? And he was sat in a wheelchair. And you could actually break him out of his wheelchair and then carry on beating him up. I remember that. Gotcha. That would have been cool if you could put him into Final Fight.
Yeah.
So, ladies and gents, thank you so much. Look at that. 10:45 on the dot. We are finishing a little bit earlier, but blame it on the fact that we had 9 games to talk about last week, and this week we only got 6. So, there you go. But we had more news to talk about. So, it's a funny old week. We will be back same time next week with more game chat. As I said, the big game next week will be Little Nightmares 2. We also have a revamped version of one of the Mario games that came out on the Wii U, which didn't sell that well, which they're now bringing to Switch. Plus, they're adding some extra content. So we'll be talking about a Mario game on Switch, plus a load of other stuff, including Truck Simulator. Woo-hoo! That's going to be top-notch, that one, I tell you. If it's anything like Bus Simulator, we're in for a treat. So, yeah, we've got loads of stuff to talk about next week. So tune in and check out all the stuff. The schedule for this week has been updated. We've got loads of different games we're trying out. And we did rejig, again, the schedule because of certain things we were doing. Yes, Mia, there is a game called Bus Simulator. There's actually been 2 versions of it now. It's actually quite popular. I kid you not. If you don't believe me, Google it. It's there. It's there. But there you go. So, yeah, loads of schedule. I am not on tomorrow. I'm actually having a day off for once. It'll be my first day off since New Year's Day. I have my reasons, and it will be in the Discord tomorrow. But, yeah, we will be back on Thursday night, but we'll be right back here with this show, 9 p.m. on Tuesday nights for more TNGC. Thank you so much to our guest this week, which is Tunes, Mr. David Hall.
Thank you very much for having me. It's been awesome.
Thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate it. And to my partner in crime there, the other Dave, just to make things complicated for me tonight, Mr. David Jones.
Pleasure as always, mate.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you to everyone in the chat. I'm just going to have a quick look. Weirdly, I think the only person I was going to thank is the guy that was spamming us earlier, and he's followed me. And I don't know why, because I think he's been banned from the channel. So thanks for following, asshole, for no reason. You've been banned. There you go. Have a great week. And wherever you are in the world, have a great morning, great afternoon, or great evening. thank you so much. We shall see you. Oh, hang on. Foxy, one last question. How hard is it to sit in a chair? Just a random question.
Very, very hard. It's been a chore the last 2 hours. I don't know how I cope with it.
I know. Well, hopefully, fingers crossed. I mean, Dave's in a nice comfy chair. The other Dave's in a nice comfy chair. Hopefully this time next week, I won't be sitting on a sofa. I'll be in a nice cozy chair because I will actually be in my studio. Hopefully broadcasting this from my studio for the first time ever. So fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. If the stuff turns up in time and we've finished getting it built, no pressure. We'll see how we go. Ladies and gentlemen, that's it. Thank you so much. Take care. Good night or good morning or good afternoon. And we shall see you very, very soon. Take care. Bye.
Bye.